Good morning. This is Dawn here beside the still waters. I wanted to talk today about something that I see mirrored all around me, and I've been really wrestling with for a long time internally. And the signal has been made clear that it's time to, for myself anyway, to really step into this. So, you know how many of us, as we are on the path of awakening and we come into our own and begin to really accept that the love and the light and the life that we are at our core, it can, we understand where perhaps we have come from a place that is not light, that is not life, that is not love. And so we really want to live from our hearts and to be that love. And so we embrace that part of us that does come from that purest place. And sometimes what can happen in the course of us doing that is that we can lean a little bit more toward this. Well, I call it my, my goddess of gracious love and surrender and forgiveness, and that kind of that gracious, allowing, loving, supporting place. It's from integrity, and it absolutely is standing in the and being rooted in our love and our light. Um, and that is absolutely a beautiful way to move through life. And it's been the way that I've been seeking to move through life, not always successfully, because for myself personally, there's definitely a strength within me. And there's also the pain within me, obviously, that gets pricked pretty easily. And so, that it comes up for me a lot. And so, but by and large, I've been, in many areas of my life, seeking to be gracious and move forward in love and choose only love and speak only love. And when I could not speak, just like my mom taught me when I was growing up, right? When I couldn't speak love, I didn't, it's funny because I didn't abide by it very well, did I, Mom, if you're watching this? But anyway, for all those years, like that was a challenge for me because I got a quick temper and, I like to speak up in various situations, not always, but because I'm also a quiet person. But I have by and large been seeking to come from a loving place where I speak from love and I am patient and kind and understanding. And even one of the things that is challenging for me is, so I often can see patterns. I can actually see the patterns in dynamics much easier in groups and in organizations and in relationships than I can the most obvious things. So I'm a little bit challenged with the practical and the obvious, and so learning about that, and that's been good. But it's very, very frustrating when you can see those patterns, and when you see that that there is more than going on here than most people are aware of. They're aware of their one little angle or their one piece of this, but they don't see the whole. And so that's been frustrating to me personally throughout my life, and it led to times where I was feeling very lonely and isolated. It led to me feeling like a freak early on, and then later, when I understood the value of it and the way that I could step into my own mastery by serving as an agent of healing and grace, where I could often behind the scenes. That was an opportunity that was given to me because I did see, and even when everyone else, kind of thought it was crazy or like didn't at all see, and they just went on and like for years and years with the patterns. That was the role that I chose to play, and that all has great value. But what I am seeing and feeling really strongly within me, and particularly with certain situations, is there comes a point at which, if the patterns of corruption and the patterns of anti-love, anti-light, anti-life, whether the people participating in it are aware or not, there comes a point at which we are called to step up and speak. And this is where fierce warrior woman Dawn comes in, because she's been quiet for a long time, particularly in certain areas of my own personal life and my own sphere of influence in the physical world. I think that she's been more present in terms of that spiritual warrior, in the backgrounds, behind the scenes for a while. But there comes a point in which we are asked and called to show up with that side of us. And I'm feeling that very strongly for myself. And I'm also seeing the need for that in situations where I see individuals who have been placed in those situations, who have that awareness and who have something to bring forth, and it requires courage, and it sometimes requires you to raise the battle cry, and to lift your sword of truth, and to speak out in ways that in all likelihood could result in some snap judgments on other people's parts. It could result in alienation or isolation. But that's a part of, for some of us, that's a part of what we're called to do. It's a part of our mission. It's a part of why we're here. It's a part of why you are given that insight or that strength within you. And trust me, like I'm speaking very personally here, because for my experience, particularly in one aspect of my life, when the times when I have spoken up, there has been a lot of dismissal, ridicule, a lot of effort put into steering that in a certain way so that it appears to be one thing to a lot of people. And I'm no longer afraid of that, and I understand now, and at this point in my journey, thankfully, I've grown enough to understand that my integrity is intact regardless of how it looks to other people, and also that I'm not that. I don't, I used to buy into it because it looked like the evidence was stacked in such a way that it certainly looked like it was true. So I wanted to just share this thought with you, because I do see it. It's very difficult to speak to without getting into specifics, but I see it in many situations right now, and I do feel like we're in we're at a critical juncture here, and we no longer have the luxury in areas of our personal life and on the global stage. We do not have the luxury anymore of going along with everything we see so clearly. And I could point out some global situations, but I don't think I need to. I think everybody can see this, and it can be difficult because there doesn't seem to be an obvious solution sometimes. And I certainly am not calling for some kind of out and out war or revolution in terms of the political revolution, but I do think that there is something to each of us choosing within our own sphere of being to be that revolution of love, and that we can't do that sufficiently in certain situations where let's face it, there are forces working against that love, and for whatever purpose and for whatever their source is. That's not something I want to get into here, and it's not really of interest to me. What is my calling in this life is to stand for love, and sometimes, though, you can't sufficiently do that merely by speaking and coming from a place of that creates a lot of room and a lot of space for everything to play out. I am not suggesting that we seek to step in and take away anyone else's sovereignty. That is absolutely, and free will, not what I'm suggesting. But I am saying that there comes a point when we need to use our voices and our energy and that love that we have embodied in such a way that it's powerful, and we need to believe in it. need to, you know, really demonstrate love, demonstrate fierce love, and absolutely stand for what we know to be true and for what we, in our souls, know um, will is a path to freedom and liberation on many levels. Personal liberation, societal, cultural, global, humanity liberation. So in this personal example, what I will share is that I think that this has been, a 2 decades long kind of thing. And so for, I definitely saw some of the dynamics, group dynamics, that I'm not sure that other people did. It's not really irrelevant, but I also became aware, somewhere 5, 6 years ago, that even though I had seen all of that, what I hadn't factored in was that there really were situations where some of those individuals that were playing into those patterns really were not aware of the degree to which they were being guided, influenced, and in some cases manipulated and controlled to espouse a certain viewpoint and to act in ways that are essentially running interference for something, for the flow of love, for the free flow of divine grace and love. And sometimes enough is enough on that. And I'm just speaking it. I have no idea how that's going to play out in that personal in that personal realm. But sometimes enough is enough. And the larger point here is that it can be very easy to put that part of us aside that can be fierce and can lead the way and or cut through the nonsense. There comes a point when toleration of that is no longer an option because it's interfering, and it is absolutely blocking the access to love for a larger number of people, for yourself, for the other individuals involved. And so, we can live in our little bubbles for forever if we so choose. But that is not what I'm here to do. And I don't think it's what you're here to do either. So there's a balance. I'm playing with the balance. I may do the little seesaw thing for a while. But just wanted to share that with you guys because I think it is pertinent to our world right now. And I think part of the situation that we find ourselves in is that many of us are aware on some level of what is unfolding all around us all the time. And so our solution has been, many of us, to unplug from it and then also to really embody and bring forth the love that we can in our own being, in our own relationships, in our own communities. And that is beautiful, and we should continue to do that. Absolutely, 1,000%. And sometimes we need to just say, enough is enough, and we need to stand up and speak truth a little more with conviction and honor for all, but to stand in the truth that we know, to give our soul's truth and radiance the opportunity to shine. And sometimes when it shines, it's gonna pierce through instead of being little bubbles of light that fall gently. Sometimes it's going to need to be a little more direct, a little more firm, and a little more insistent. That's what I'm feeling. I would be interested to know how this hits you, and it can be an opening for all of us, I think, to have some conversation around these things. So I hope you do that in your own circles and consider it in your own reflection time, and just know what you know. my greatest teacher in this life used to say to me all the time, "You'll know what you know when you need to know it." And I'm getting the distinct notion that I know right now that this has got to stop. In my own personal example, but also this pattern that we are having of, we being those of us who do desire a different world that is one of peace and love and harmony. But there comes a point where you can't just be wishing upon a star for that, and sending energy and good love to it. You've got to, at some point, speak up and be involved. And it can be hard. And I know for myself, I don't know if this comes up for many of you or not, but for myself, it can be like that can bring up the internal insecurities. In my own life example, I wonder sometimes if, gosh, I can't jeopardize what has taken me so long to recover and to bring back together in terms of, just my own ability to thrive, because that was affected at junctures when I did speak up in, probably a much more humble way than what I think is necessary right now. And on the world stage, on the global stage, I think many of us, are. It's hard to know what to say, what to do at this point. I am referencing the U.S. elections, but I'm also thinking of other, just global challenges that they're such a mess, right? Like, Syria and the Middle East and the refugee crisis and just so many things. And it's a delicate balance. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do it because I don't really see yet the solutions. And certainly this is not about control and stepping in to try to take other people's right to choose or power away. It can't be. We can't. That is not an option here. So there is a way, though. There is a way to sound that battle cry to, I'm thinking the Charge of the Light Brigade kind of energy, not the historical Light Brigade, because I think that was death and destruction and war. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking like really we've got to take this to a more active role, and we've got to be a little more persistent with the love that we have. We have to take all of that. Absolutely, that has to be the frame in which we step forward. So, don't know the solutions, don't know how it's going to go, but I felt compelled to share that with you, and I would be interested to hear from any of you who have successfully done that and are doing it, tips and tools. I'm sure they're out there for leading from that strong conviction, that and urgency. There is an urgency in some of these situations, and things are being lost. And our light is being diminished. It's real. And so that is my video for today. So those are my thoughts. Again, interested to hear, would love to have some conversation with you. Thanks very much for watching and for being on the way with me in this time. It's a beautiful, beautiful world. It's a beautiful life. And we are meant to live in a world that is reflective of the light and the life and the love that we know to be why we are here and at our core. Have a lovely, beautiful day. Bye.